When I was about 23 or 24 years old, this billionaire was obsessed with me. I don't know how we met or how it all started, but he wanted to.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Date in View. In today's video, women share their real-life stories of going on dates with or being in relationships with billionaires. They talk about how those connections started, what the experience was actually like behind the scenes, and how dating extreme wealth compares to dating in the everyday modern world. These stories explore expectations, power dynamics, lifestyle differences, and the realities that people don't usually talk about when it comes to dating at that level.
When I was about 23 or 24 years old, this billionaire was obsessed with me. I don't know how we met or how it all started, but he wanted to put me up in a little tower and not work or not do anything but be there for him as a man working, right? Uh, he sent me listings of these like $40 million penthouses that he wanted to get for me here in the city. He was like, I'll give you like 40 grand a month to spend, whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. But listen, at the time, I was doing pre med, I was working in research. So my stupid ass said, no, I don't want to do that because I want to have my own career. I want to figure out my own life first. I'm going to do me. Anyway, he kept emailing me, being like, please change your mind. Like, we can have everything. You can throw like Christmas parties in your penthouse. It'll be beautiful. I was like, no, I'm going to do me. This man even emailed my workplace at the time, the research lab where I was working, like my boss, or like my office manager, because I heard from my office manager, she like forwarded an email that he had sent to her. I don't even know how he knew where I worked. I never told him that. So he like tracked me down, emailed her, and was like, hey, really need to speak to Joanna. Is she there? Does she work there? It was so creepy. At that point, I was like, listen, it's never gonna happen. I'm gonna go on and do my life. So please never contact me again. So that stopped, and here we are, like 10 years later. And anytime I'm at work, I'm like, man, what if I just took the bait? What if I sat my ass down and didn't work ever in my life? Would that have been nice? Maybe. But also, I don't regret choosing me at that point because I have a very full, very happy life. I love the things that I built for myself and my friends and my circles. But anyway, it would have been nice to be a billionaire's wife, I guess. If there's any billionaires out there now that wants me as a little trophy wife, I'm ready now because I'm so sick of working.
When my fiance broke up with me and ended our engagement, he told me that I couldn't do any better than him. So this is a story about how I accidentally ended up on a date with a $1 billion nepo baby. So I was in a relationship with a man. We were engaged, and he maybe made about like 10 times more annual income than I did. He was wildly successful. I'm mildly successful. And, he's like 10 years older than me. So that who knows where I will be in 10 years' time when I am his current age. But yeah, he broke up with me. He said he was too successful to be with me, too rich to be with me. And mind you, when we first started dating, I made significantly more money than he did. He had like no money to his name. So, anyways, he says that I can't do any better than him. So I am traumatized by how this breakup happened. I'm embarrassed. I don't want to be in the city that I live in anymore. And I decide I'm going to move back to Guatemala because that's where my family's from. I'm just going to reconnect with my roots. Fuck this country. Fuck these men. Like, this fucking sucks. So I make this conscious decision to move to Guatemala. And I have a vision board. I'm going to speak more Spanish. I'm going to reconnect with my family. I am going to find a new job there, like work there. I am going to have land there. Again, this is a vision board. I was like, I am going to date a football player or date somebody who owns a football team. Football as in soccer. So I'm still living in the city that I was living in when we broke up, as is he. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just see what's out on the market. I haven't been single in 5 years. Let me just go on a dating app. So I'm on a dating app and I see some like pretty nice people. And when I am actually ready to date, when I actually get there, if I ever get there, I don't want to be rusty. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, I haven't been on a date in like 5 years. I don't know how to do this anymore. Like, I want to be smart. I want to know the signs, know the patterns, whatever. So I go on a date with this guy. Just seems like a sweet guy. Very mild dating profile. He is liberal like I am, which is a big deal in a relationship going forward for me from now on. And he was, I don't know, he's just very kind, very smart, very intellectual. He's my age, he's not older than me. So we went out for drinks. We had a very nice conversation. I speak ancient, or read and write in ancient Greek and Latin, because that's part of what I studied in college, as does he. So we geeked out about knowing the same things, or having an academic shared interest. I came to find that he is very well versed and well rounded in a lot of areas that, I don't know how to put this. Girls are cool as fuck. Only girls are that well rounded. And he was very, very well rounded. He was talking about art that he bought in New York. And mind you, he's like in his 20s. And I was like, okay, this guy's kind of cool. Like, I didn't know that there are guys as cool as girls out there. Like, that's interesting. We both had dinner, or we had drinks in the same neighborhood that we both live in. And he was telling me about this art piece. I was jazzed about it because he was jazzed about it. So he's like, do you want to see it? It's at my place. My roommate is there. And I was like, fine, let's go see this art piece that's too big to fit your walls. Bro, when I heard roommate, I was like, okay, he's probably not broke, but like can't afford to live for himself in his late 20s. Like, noted. But he's smart. Like, I don't know. So I go to his place. His roommate's in the living room. I look at his roommate. I have to tilt my head all the way back to look at his ceiling, because that shit was so, he lived in a museum. Like, he had no business having a home that big in an urban city. 3 floors, 2 guys, 3 floors. That painting was like 7 feet tall. That's why it didn't fit, because it was 7 feet tall. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And he's like, oh, do you want to go see the terrace? Like, do you want to go see the roof? I was like, okay, sure. Mind you, we have not even held hands, like nothing like romantic. It's all just like good vibe, good conversation. We go to the roof. It's like a sweeping view of the entire city. Like, the entire skyline, both bridges. Didn't even know you could see that view from that neighborhood. It was like, interesting. So we start talking more, and I'm like, who is this guy? Like, what does he do for work? And he starts talking about his parents, his upbringing, and I'm like, okay. His mom worked in tech, and she made it rich. She's retired. Like, his dad was a stay-at-home dad. Like, he has a very interesting upbringing in terms of like gender roles. I was like, okay. He's very progressive. Like, we're talking grassroots. I was like, okay, he wants to make a difference in the world. I was like, noted. So we start dating. Like, go on a second date. We go on a third date. We go on a fourth date. Our fourth date, he was like, I was at this like stadium. And I was like, you're at a stadium? He's like, yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm running late. I'm at the stadium at this dinner. Like, I'm so sorry. Well, the girl investigator in me was like, I'm going to Google what's at the stadium. So I Google what's at the stadium. Nothing's happening at that stadium that night. And I was like, interesting. Like, why would he lie about that? Like, there's a soccer game at that stadium tomorrow, but like, why would he lie about that? And so we finally meet up that night. He comes late. He's like dressed in a suit. And I'm like, what was happening at the stadium? He's like, oh, it was just a dinner, for this like soccer team. And I was like, oh, isn't there like a game for that soccer team tomorrow? And he was like, yeah, but it's mostly just like what the dinner was like with the team players or whatever. And I was like, the team players? Like, that's interesting. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't understand. And he had sent me pictures from the actual stadium, like on the field, like from the dinner. I was like, I don't get it. He's like, well, it's mostly like the owner's circle and the team and the coaches. And I was like, what? And he was like, my family owns a soccer team. I was like, what the fuck? Yes. And I was like, I'm like hiding my vision board in the back, like, oh, fuck my ex. I was like, no, I could do better than you. And damn, I was like, okay, fuck yes, I knew I could manifest this shit. I Google the worth of this soccer team. It's like in the billions. And then after that, that game that they were having the next day, like, broke the record for most attended soccer game or whatever. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. And like, he's a very nice guy. He's very sweet. We get along really well. I'm not sure if we're compatible with one another. I'm pretty sure we're just going to be friends. But, yeah, very lovely human being, like very, very lovely person to be around. But I was like, damn, my ex really said that I couldn't do better than him. Look at that. Look at that. That's crazy. That's God. That's.
Let me tell you guys about the time that I got set up to go on a date with this billionaire. The story is like so random, but I kind of love it. So I was in St. Bart's for New Year's last year, and I was literally just like laying down in my hotel room, and this like really famous dating coach DM'd me on Instagram. In case some of you don't know, a lot of wealthy people will hire a dating coach to basically just like find them their partner of their dreams. It's literally like Build-A-Bear is the best way I can describe it. But basically you can just give them a list of like characteristics you want in your partner and like what you want them to look like and everything. And they basically source the person for you. I didn't even know that like people really did things like that, but when I'm thinking about it, it makes sense because a lot of wealthy people don't always have the time to like be out in social settings and like look for people organically. She DM'd me and was like, she found me for one of her clients and she thinks I meet like the requirements for this guy, which looking back at it, I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I just don't. And she's like telling me about him, and she like sends me a picture of him, and she's like, you know, if you're up for it, we'll like, you know, set you guys up, this, that, and the third. I was just kind of like, this is so interesting. I'm like honestly intrigued by all of this. I like consulted about this with a bunch of my friends and they were just like, honestly, just go. Like, this is just so funny because like, what? The dating coach literally puts me in a group chat with like her and then like his assistant. And his assistant was like, okay, like, let me know what day works for you and I'll see if it aligns with his schedule. And I'm like, bro, am I making a doctor's appointment right now? Like, what's going on? I forgot to say, like, the dating coach was like, okay, obviously this is like no strings attached. It's like you can stop at any time. Before the date, we were like texting here and there. And I was just like, okay. I mean, I don't know, he was kind of boring. I just think like we didn't have that much in common, which is fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. He probably felt the same way about me, so I don't judge. Our date comes and he sends a car to come get me, and that was really, really nice. And we got omakase, which is like one of my favorite things ever. And this man had so many niche hobbies. Like, I was literally like, wow. And these were like very, very niche. Like, I didn't even know what to say. I was just like, oh, okay. And then we went to a jazz club afterwards, which I also loved. And we talked about like what he does and everything. And it's like, I just knew it wasn't gonna go anywhere because I'm like, we have completely different interests. And like, I'm not really interested in your interest, and I don't think you're interested in my interest. Also, I can just tell by our conversation that he was kind of like looking to settle down, and I was like, no baby, like, I'm not trying to settle down. So I just knew, I was like, this is not going anywhere. And when I mean like settle down, I mean like start a family. Like, the man is in his late 20s. So, and then after our date, we never spoke again, because I think we were both just like, okay, we just have such different interests and are on such different like phases of our lives that it wasn't gonna work out. But it was definitely an interesting experience. This is like my first time ever actually being like set up to go on a date. But I love doing things for the plot sometimes, and that was one of the things I did for the plot.
Bye, guys. Love you.
Story time on the month-long relationship I had with a billionaire, part 1. We're gonna call this man Harley. Last year, I was spending a lot of time on the apps because it was my first time actually being able to be single enough to be on the apps, and I met Harley on Raya. He was somebody that on the apps actually didn't have that he was a creator or a founder, because every single person on Raya has either a creator or a founder or a producer of some sorts, and this man actually didn't even have his profession on there. He just had his Instagram, and he ended up messaging me, and we matched, and he was about in his mid-40s. He was very cute, like definitely was someone that you could tell was very handsome when he was younger, like 6 feet tall. He had a bit of like a little bit of a dad bod, but not too bad, and he was like very built in the arms and everything, and he just had sent me a very sweet opening message basically talking about how he loved my energy and my smile, and I thought, why the hell not? We started messaging on Raya a little bit, and he was like, hey, I am going to be going to Mexico for some work next week, but I really want to meet up with you before I leave. I was not going to be able to meet up with him because I was really busy at the time. I was in the middle of looking for a new place in LA after the fires had happened, and I had just been living like hotel to hotel and everything, and he lived in some big fuck off mansion over in the hills of Encino. If you want to know what Encino Hills are, it is a very slept upon area of LA that has lots of very rich people, and it's more in the valley type area. He was like, okay, well, why don't you just come to Mexico with me? And I was like, okay. Still, I did not know what this man did. From his profile on his Instagram, it had just a lot of like very quirky quotes and things. It was like very clear that this man did not know how Instagram worked, because he had like little quotes on there like strive to be the best and shit like that, and then him with his friends eating at the Ivy having lunch, and it was just kind of unclear what he did. But I could tell that the man had money, because he was like, you should just come to Mexico with me, I will have my private jet pick you up, like just casually dropping the private jet thing. I was like, okay, let's like jump on a FaceTime and like figure this out, because I don't know if you're a scammer from Ghana and you're trying to kidnap me and sell me into some sort of weird sex slavery or whatever, so let's jump on a FaceTime and let's figure this out. One day I'm staying at a hotel in Silver Lake. I'm staying at the Silver Lake Lounge Hotel, which is very cute and the only hotel in Silver Lake, and it's attached to the Polo Lounge, so there's like a little pool outside, and the rooms are really cute and kitschy, and I was just sitting by the pool in my little bikini, and he FaceTimed me. I answer, and this man was way more handsome on FaceTime than he was in his pictures. Like, it was very clear that his pictures did not do him justice. He had a full beard, he was wearing these really cute little framed glasses, white t-shirt and jeans, and he was sitting by his pool in Encino. We start chatting, and he's like telling me about his day, that he had worked out with his trainer, and then he was going to have his chef make him some lunch, and then he was figuring out his itinerary, and he had to go to Mexico because he was thinking about investing in this tequila company. He's like, I'm actually leaving today, but what I can do is, since you're going to be in LA working and everything, I can just have my jet come back and then pick you up and then fly you to Mexico to meet me there if that's what you want to do, because I'm going to be in Cabo meeting with this brand, so you can meet me there. Y'all, you know that your girl leans into the lore and just does things for the plot, so I was like, okay, sir, like, this seems like a good idea, because we had chatted a couple days on FaceTime, I saw his information, and from his name, I was also able to Google him, and Google showed me that this man was a billionaire with a capital B. He actually was also a nepo baby, and he had been married to a woman that is a public figure, so I knew that if I needed to come after this man, then I could find him, because there were all these different tabloids and things on him, so I knew that he was findable and verifiable. So Harley and I spent the next couple days FaceTiming, and I decided that it was trustworthy and that I was going to go to Cabo and meet this man. First time meeting this man.
The day comes around and he tells me that I don't even need to pack anything because anything that I need we can get while we're there. And I was like, all right, bet King, don't tell me that, say less, because I will come up with a very empty suitcase so that we can do hella shopping while we're there. He sends me a black card to take me to the Burbank airport in LA, and I get there, and y'all, talk about you flying private and you're just like, oh my God, I know that this is bad for the environment, but oh my God, this is so easy. You're just waiting in the little lobby. They come and get you. They don't even check your info or anything. They don't even check your passport. You literally just give them your name. Story time on the month-long relationship I had with a billionaire, part 2. We've left off. I'm in Mexico. This is our first day with the billionaire that I met on Raya. He's just given me a plethora of drinks to choose from and take to the face, and a pair of Gucci-ass shades. He's walking me around the villa. Y'all, this is the most expansive, beautiful villa that I have ever been to in my life. There is a reason that this was designed by James Purse, the very famous fashion designer. It was absolutely what I would picture is the epitome of calm, relaxation, and just absolute billionaire solitude. We're walking around and he's kind of giving me the lay of the land. He's like, okay, over here's the private beach. Here's the chef's kitchen and the table. I am taking it all in, y'all. And he's like, hey, listen, I have some meetings that I have to do over Zoom. Can you entertain yourself for a little bit? And then after I'm done with that, we can kind of hit the town. We can go do whatever you want to do. We can go to the beach. We can go and take out some four-wheelers, and then we can go to a nice dinner. And then tomorrow's my actual meeting. So do you think that if I just give you my card, you can entertain yourself while I'm working? I'm like, sir, entertain me is never something you have to worry about when you are giving me a credit card with unlimited spending limit. Like, I can definitely find something to do here. Don't you worry about little old me. He was like, okay, great. He walks over inside to go to one of the bedrooms. I throw on my bikini that I had brought. I had literally only brought my toiletries, my makeup, and 2 bikinis, and just like a couple casual wears because I knew that we were going to go shopping. And he had told me like, hey, we'll do all this stuff and then we can go into town. We can buy you a bunch of clothes or whatever it is that you need. I throw on my bikini and I walk out over to the ocean. It literally opens up the yard into the ocean. If you can call it a yard, it's just sand and an open like pathway. This house is just completely open. I walk out and there's 2 attendees just standing out there, chilling. And they're like, hi, can we get something to drink? I'm like, I just had a champagne and a wine, but yes, you know what? We're here. We're in Cabo. Like, let's have a margarita, right? They're like, great. Would you like us to play some music as well? I'm like, oh, do you think that it's going to bother Harley because he's working? And they were like, no, don't worry. The room that he's in is kind of soundproof. And then the music out here with the speakers, it's just going to be for you. I'm like, say less, King. The sweet man with the comb over, this was the same man that brought me earlier the drinks. And there's another girl with a very tight bun as well, but she's blonde and she's different. They're like, okay, we'll get you whatever you need. The dude hustles back there to make a margarita. I am just sitting there, you guys, halfway body in the water, just looking out and thinking this might be the best first date that I've ever been on. The guy comes back out with my margarita and he's like, would you like a snack as well? And now it's probably like 3 p.m. So I'm like, you know what? I could definitely do a little snack. And then I know that me and Harley are going to go to dinner later. So he's like, okay, what would you like? Like, we can make you anything. I'm like, don't say that, sir. And I was like, you know, we're in Mexico. Like, let's have some like chips and guac, a little snacky snack. He was like, oh, what about like some ceviche as well? I really suggest that. The fish is really fresh here. We can make you a really nice ceviche with avocado and some plantain chips and some tortilla chips. I'm like, absolutely. I'm sitting out there looking around and I'm just texting my girlfriends and my gays being like, y'all, I need y'all to see this view. I FaceTime one of my best friends back home in Texas and he's like, girl, where the hell are you? I'm like, look where I am. And he was like, bitch. So I'm sitting there and then I just feel like a hand on my shoulder. And I think it's the waiter. And I'm like, why are you touching me? But okay. I look back and it's actually Harley. And he's like, hey, beautiful, you enjoying the view? And I was like, hell yeah. And he was like, I'm enjoying the view too. I'm like, smooth, brother, smooth. And I was like, oh, I just ordered a little snack. And he's like, okay, great. He's like, well, I just wanted to check on you and make sure that you're doing okay. We're going to be able to be done and able to just go into town and explore and get whatever you need probably in about 30 minutes. So you just like chill and relax and do what you need to do. It's going to be like 30 to an hour. I'm like, dude, I am fucking chilling. You ain't got to worry about me. And he's like, okay, I just want to make sure that you're taken care of and you're not bored. I was like, you really think that my ass or anyone of that matter is going to be bored looking at this exotic, beautiful sight before them? No. My waiter man with the comb over brings the whole dish over and I am just sitting there on my ass in the water in my bathing suit. It was like white with little cherries on it and red bottoms. And I was just sipping my margarita and thinking, I didn't used to think that I was a beach girl, but this has proved to me that maybe I was just at the wrong beaches previously, because this experience has showed me that I'm absolutely a beach girl. 30 minutes to an hour passes, another hour and a half. I'm still waiting on Harley. And then one of the girls with the tight bun walks over and she was like, hey, Harley wanted me to come get you if you wanted to go take a shower and freshen up before you guys head into town. I'm like, absolutely. I'm like 3 margaritas deep in, y'all. I am feeling good. I walk in and she leads me over to the walk-in shower that has all these huge shower heads above. Walk in, I fit like 4 people in there. Walk in there, I'm like, well, you could sure have a party in here. And I use all the very nice Kiehl's products that are in there and equipped. I put on a hair mask, I put on a face mask, a little cucumber mask that was in there. I get out of my towel and I'm sitting in front of the vanity table, which also is next to the view of the ocean. And I am just like, I feel like I have never looked more relaxed, refreshed, and in my element. I put on just a little bit of moisturizer and I do my brows, and then I just put like a little baby lip on, but that was it because we're out in the ocean and we need to be natural queens. I throw on this little slip dress. It's tan and it's just basically a very basic silk slip dress that's kind of like stops here, and it's very 90s cut. My friend makes them from Shop Shawnee. She makes all the best slip dresses if you ever need one. It's slinky and it's long, and it probably hits about mid-calf, and I throw on some slides, some little tan slides. I walk over, my hair is wet, and I put a little bit of sea salt spray in it because we are going to be an island girl. I walk out and Harley is standing over there, and he has now changed into some little khaki shorts, and he is also in his Hermes slide still, his white t-shirt, and he has now changed his frames to another frame, Garrett Light. I'm like, hi, and he's like, hey, look at you, it looks like you got some sun, you look more freckly. And I was like, I hope so. And he was like, you ready to go into town? And I was like, absolutely. So we walk out and the driver is there. We get into the car. And he's like, okay, what would you like to do? He's like, we can go shopping. We can go 4-wheeling. I was like, I want to do shopping, 4-wheeling, and then I want to go get a really good bite to eat. And he was like, your wish is my command. Dude drives us over to a little stand. And at the stand is a bunch of 4-wheelers and some little Vespas and everything. And Harley's like, are you sure you don't want us to just like drive around? Or do you really want to do the 4-wheelers? I was like, honey, I want to do the 4-wheelers. And he was like, adventurous girl. I was like, yes, obviously. We look out and the 2 men there's a short one and a tall one. The short one is like, hello, welcome, you guys are here, Americans. And we're like, yeah. And they're so sweet. Harley's like, do you want to take a Vespa or do you want to take a 4-wheeler? I'm like, buddy, I'm taking a 4-wheeler. And the guy's like, do you guys want to ride together? And Harley's like, we ride together. I was like, sir, no, I want my own. And he was like, you know how to ride these things? I'm like, yes, absolutely. I was like, I know how to ride a motorcycle. And he was like, wow, okay. I'm like, yeah, no, I want my own. And he was like, love that, love that. I'm like, yeah, come on now, get off my ride. I'm driving. I don't want you backpacking on me. Like, what the hell? He's like, okay. He decides that he wants to take a Vespa. And he's like, yeah, I have a bad back, so I'm going to take a Vespa. I'm like, I don't know how that translates, but okay. We get our little 4-wheeler. The tall man is like, hey, just so you know, just be really aware of your surroundings. We're like, okay, great. Harley's like, okay, we're going to take the ATVs down near the beach. And then after that, we can go back to the car and then we can jump in and we can go to the mall and do some shopping and figuring it out there. I'm like, okay, great. We're taking it from the little stand over to the beach. Now, the way that the street is here was the little stand. Here's the street. You have to go on this little street to the beach over here. I'm going down, right? After this warning about being careful. But you know what, y'all? Your lady, she lives for the lure. She likes to go fast. I speed off. Harley is behind me. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. So I slow down and I turn around. I'm like, hey, can you go in front? Because I don't know where I'm going. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. He gets in front of me. He's kind of leading the way. And as I'm going, I see that there's like a little patch of trees and stuff like that over here and a street. I'm going and I literally, y'all, look down for maybe 10 seconds because I had my bag in my lap and I wanted to try to put it onto one of the little handles. I looked down for a second and I just feel the front of my 4-wheeler crash into something and I go like this, boom. I'm like, what the hell? I look up. I have run into the back of a truck that has a big wagon on the back. The back of the wagon has a scratch on it, and part of the bumper is a little bit off, and part of the bumper of the 4-wheeler is a little bit off. And I'm like, oh, fuck. I turn over onto the side. I pull over and Harley has not seen that I have stopped. The truck pulls over and the woman driving it comes out and she's furious. She is this 4'11" woman in an oversized tee that has one of those fake naked bikini bodies on it. One of those, yeah. And some oversized shorts. And she is with her son and she is mad. And she starts yelling at me in Spanish. And I don't speak Spanish. I was like, oh no. I'm like, un momento. I call Harley. I'm like, I've had a little accident. And he's like, what? I'm like, can you come back? He's like, okay. I'm looking at the damage. Honestly, her truck was not bad. It just had like a little scratch on it, but the front of the bumper of the ATV was a little bit mushed. And I could not believe that in the 10 seconds that I looked down that I had run into the back of this woman's. I don't know where she came from or anything, but I was just like, what happened? Harley comes over and he's like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. I was literally driving. I looked down for a second and she was there. She's yelling at him in Spanish now. He's like, okay. Telling the woman, he's trying to point that the stand where we got the ATVs is literally 10 feet to 20 feet down. And we just need to go back a little bit so that we can talk to the men there because they can translate because they speak English. She's like, no, policia. She's like saying she's going to call the police. And I'm like, oh my God, we're not going anywhere. The son is in the car. And I'm like thinking, okay, he looks young, so he probably maybe speaks a little bit English. So I go to the side. I'm like, hey, buddy, do you speak English? And he goes, a little bit. And I was like, can you come and tell your mom that we're not going to run? We just need to turn and go back to the stand over there because this is owned by those people there and then we can figure this out. And he's like, yeah. I'm like stressed. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe that I am already in an accident. I just met this man. I get onto my busted ass ATV. They follow us back to the stand. We drive up and my homie over there is like, what happened? And I'm like, I made a little boo-boo. And he's like, what? I'm like, look. He looks at the front and he's like, oh, okay. He's not bothered. He's like, okay, that's not bad. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm like getting stressed, right? I'm like, I'm sorry. I feel really bad. You know, like, is her car really bad? They're looking at everything. I hadn't seen the car before, so I don't know what her car had looked like beforehand. I didn't take a good look at my ATV, so I didn't really know what it looked like beforehand. I mean, it was already kind of old and stuff, but I don't think it had the little like front of it was just like a little bit off. I'm like, oh my God. Harley's like, hey, babe, it's okay. How about this? Why don't I give you my card? There's like a little restaurant fruit stand bar across over there. Why don't you go there, get yourself a drink, have a snack, relax. I'll handle this. I was like, wait, no, but I'm the one that did it. And he was like, no, I know. But don't worry. Let me just handle it. Like, this is what I do. I'm like, hot. I take his black card. Y'all already know. I'm looking at it and I'm like, ugh, these things are always heavy and they always feel right. Take the card. I walk about maybe like 25 feet to a little stand. It's like a little stand that's definitely targeted towards Americans because it's like margarita, cerveza. I saddle up. The beach is right behind. And I'm like, can I have a big ass margarita? He's like, oh, would you like passion fruit or mango? Because I have both. I'm like, I will have a passion fruit mango mix. Because you know what? I just got into a car wreck. And I'm just sitting there eating like the peanuts there. I want to say maybe like 20 minutes. Like it was not long at all. Harley comes back up. He's like, well, let's retire the ATVs for today. What do you say that we get back into the car and have him take us into town and go shopping? And I was like, what happened? I'm so sorry. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. Apparently, this is something they do with the tourists where they wait for people to hit that corner and then they slide right in front of you very quickly and then let you purposely run into them. I was like, oh, shit, really? He was like, yeah, those guys were telling me that it's like a very common scam. I'm like, oh, shit. Well, I mean, I definitely still ran into them. So you still had to pay, right? So that they didn't call the police. And he was like, yeah, I still had to pay. And I was like, oh, no. And he was like, yeah, it was kind of expensive. I'm like, what? I'm like, oh no. Like in my brain, I'm like, I know you're a billionaire, but I feel bad for costing you money because you're saying that it was really expensive. Then it must be expensive. He goes, yeah, it was 179 pesos to the woman and 1798 pesos to the guy for the ATV. I'm thinking like pesos to conversion. I don't know how much that is. I'm like, is that a lot? Like, I don't know what the conversion rate is here. I don't know if the conversion rate is worse here or worse there. Like, I don't know if it's actually more in dollars. I have no idea. He starts laughing. He goes, relax, beautiful. I'm totally joking with you. 179 pesos is $10. And 1,798 pesos or whatever it was, he was like, is $100 for the ATV. I paid $110. I'm like, oh. And he's like, yeah, I was just messing with you. He's like, everything's really cheap here. And honestly, like, she was just happy that I didn't call her out and actually get the police on her because she was scamming you. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he's like, don't worry about it. Like, we're totally fine. I'm like, great. I finished up my margarita. Now I'm 4 margaritas deep, y'all. And I am just having snacks. I am feeling like a bobblehead and I'm feeling good. He takes my hand and he leads me over back to the black car. We get inside and he tells the driver to take us to the mall. And he was like, yeah, we can go there and you can get an outfit for tomorrow, because we were only going to be there for one night. Like, I came, we were going to be there that night, and then tomorrow was his meeting, and then we were leaving that night back onto the plane back to LA. And he's like, I'm not really into shopping, but this is what you want to do. Like, we can definitely do that. I'm like, absolutely, I love shopping. He's like, oh yeah, you're a girl. I'm like, I know. We're in the car, and something that I notice about him is that he is very, very quiet natured. He is very sweet, and he has got this deep, gravelly voice and is definitely very introspective, but he does a lot of observing. And he would just sit there and like observe me. And I'd be like just chatting away, being me, right? Like, la, 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 this. I'm like asking him questions, asking about his life. And when he starts telling me, he's like, I do a lot of investments. And he's like telling me that he grew up in Beverly Hills with a very rich, very absent father. His father suffered from a stroke in the past 5 years. Because they had a very tumultuous relationship, he never really got to confront his father about the treatment that he gave him growing up. And so now he goes and visits his dad in his big fuck off Bel Air mansion and basically has to visit him. And his dad has a round the clock staff of people taking care of him. He's like, yeah, the worst part is that my dad was never around when I was growing up because he was always working. He was not a good father. He had a very bad temper. He was an alcoholic because he was dealing with the stress of his job, because his dad apparently is the #1 manufacturer of a certain material. And so therefore that's how he made his billions. And then he left all that when he had his stroke. He left the whole business to Harley. And so now Harley is running the business that his father had started, that he resented because it took his father away from him. And so he was telling me that he was trying to make investments on his own to things that he actually cared about to try to get away from his father's legacy. I'm like, this is really interesting. I'm like, tell me more about this, tequila and stuff that you are funding. And I'd love to know more about the things that you fund and the things that are important to you. To the mall. And he was like, absolutely, I'd love to tell you. He gets a phone call. He looks down. He's like, hey, I'm so sorry. These are the people that I'm meeting with. He's like, here, I'm going to give you my card. Why don't you go in there, look around, get the things that you want, and then I'll just be in here because I don't like shopping anyways. So why don't you take like 30, 45 minutes, go over there, get what you want, and then you just meet me back in the car because I'm just going to be in here taking calls. I'm like, oh, you're not going to go in with me? And he was like, I told you I really don't like shopping and I really need to take this call. I'm like, okay. Y'all, he hands me the black card and tells me that I have 45 minutes to go and buy the things that I want. Game on, bitch. So, part 3. My shopping spree. I'll show y'all all the things in the next video that I bought during that shopping spree, and the rest of the trip in Cabo, which culminated in me actually attending the investor meeting with him the next day and helping him lock down the deal. Part 3 coming up. I love you and I see you. Big hug, big kiss.